The worst date I ever had occurred somewhere around the year 1997. I was living in Chicago and I was single and I was doing all of the dating stuff, and I asked my friend Sheila to set me up with one of the guys that she worked with, and she did. And so I spent all day hanging out down at Navy Pier with my friend Jody. For this, I was dressed appropriately to spend the day at Navy Pier in a pair of khaki shorts and an orange tank top. And I thought this date was going to be really casual because that's what we had talked about doing. So I went to meet the guy at his second job in a video store, and he seemed nice, he was cute, everything was good, and he asked if I minded if we stopped by his place so that he could change. Fine. I should have known something was wrong when we approached his place and I saw a very sickly looking one-eyed cat wandering out of his house. And then his roommate, who was a stripper. And then his other roommate, who was standing in the middle of the kitchen cooking a large pot of raw hamburger. At the time, I was a vegan. And my date went in the back, changed, stayed back there for a really long time, and then he came back out and he looked at the hamburger and he said, "So, do you want to just eat here?" And I was kind of like, well, I don't eat meat. So he was clearly very disappointed that he was going to have to actually go out to dinner with me. But before that, he asked if I minded if he smoked. And at the time, I smoked cigarettes, so I was like, sure, let's smoke. So he sat down and he pulls out a 3-foot bong. And, you know, at the time, I wasn't deathly against that, but it seemed like kind of a first date faux pas. Anyway, I didn't know what to do. His roommate's looking at me, the one-eyed cat's looking at me, the stripper's gone. So I said, sure, you know, go crazy. So he got really high, and then he sat down next to me on the couch and put his head in my lap and told me that his therapist had told him that it was time for him to start dating again. At this point, I was looking around for the nearest exit. So I said, well, you know, let's go get dinner. So we went to this, I don't know, maybe a Thai restaurant, maybe a Chinese restaurant, I don't really remember. But I remember that he ordered the fish of the day, which appeared shortly after with its head on. He's looking at this fish, and he's looking at me, and he's looking at the fish, and he's looking at me, and he says, "I can't eat this. It's staring at me." And I had this big plate of vegetables because I was vegan, and so I kind of looked at him and I asked if he wanted some of my food. So he leans over with his fork and starts totally eating my entire plate. So I just sat back and kind of pushed it toward him, and I was like, dude, go crazy. So he finished his dinner, my dinner, and then he says he doesn't have any money. So I ended up paying for my food that he ate and the fish, who really, I think, got the best deal out of the whole thing. After that, I should have cut and run, but again, thought it might get better. So we went back, and the roommate had apparently consumed the entire pot of raw meat, and his friend, who had no hair and a dog collar with spikes on it, shows up with his girlfriend, who's recently moved here from New York City, I think. We get in the car, and we're driving downtown to a club, the name of which I can't remember anymore, but it was a really big club, and it had like 6 levels. I think it was called Drink. I'm not sure if it's even there anymore. So the roommates, or the guy's friend's girlfriend, you know, starts making chit-chat with me. I'm thinking maybe she's going to be, you know, my salvation. And all of a sudden, she goes, "You're from Iowa? I have a tattoo of the goldfinch," which is the state bird of Iowa. So she pulls over to show me this tattoo of a goldfinch and throws up all over the seat of the car. We get to the bar. I'm like, I'm so done. I'm so out of here. And keep in mind that I'm still wearing khaki shorts and an orange tank top in one of the biggest clubs in downtown Chicago. We get inside, and I'm thinking, okay, I have no money left for a cab, but I have to get out of here. I'm trying to figure out who I can call, but these were the days before cell phones, so it wasn't that easy to just call. And this guy starts dancing circles around me. He's just out of his mind. So finally I'm like, dude, you're taking me home. And I knew that I really didn't want to get in the car with him because he was all sorts of high, but at the same time I didn't know how else to leave. So he says he'll drive me home, but on the way home, first he wants to give me a tour of all of his favorite childhood memories. So he takes me to this 3-story flat where I guess his dad did his first pottery mug. His dad is apparently a potter. He took me to his elementary school. He took me to his high school. And finally, I thought, I'm never going to get out of here. So I made up an address about 2 blocks from where I actually lived and told him to let me out of the car. And so he stops, and just as I'm getting ready to get out of the car, he leans over for a kiss and he says, "Can I come in?"